Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Whoa. Alright, we got a lot of stuff to do today, so let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? I've practiced a lot today already. I've put in a good 2 hours, and I'm going to talk more about my practice routine in a bit, because we got a comment question about that, and I don't want to spoil anything quite yet, so, this is riveting stuff. Don't click off. Please don't click off. In case this is your first practice log, let me go ahead and explain what this is that you're watching right now. Practice log consists of 3 things. A little bit of small talk. That's this right now. Hey, how's the weather? It's a little windy where I am right now. Don't use that to geolocate me. It's not gonna work. Second, I'm gonna answer some comment questions. I might do a lightning round today and just answer a bunch of questions in a row. Oftentimes, I'll answer one question in depth and I'll just ramble on it for like 20 minutes, cut it down into like 10 minutes. That's part 2. Last thing, I'm gonna play some music for you. I've been going pretty hard into the Fugue of 997, so I think I'll probably play that. The Preludes coming along really well. I'm really happy with where that is. It just all feels equally cozy now. You'll hear that later. You've heard that so many times. I don't know, anything else before we jump into it? How's your practice coming along? Have you been working on stuff? You been on YouTube a little too much? Maybe watching some sore hands videos when you shouldn't be? You should be practicing while you do that, hopefully. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today, so let's just go ahead and jump into these questions. First one's from David Cowley. Tubular Bells, no? Did you guys watch the Ichikanito video that I made? The first video that I clicked on of him was him apparently playing this piece called Tubular Bells in his, tappy, nylon, electric style, whatever. Listen, a lot of the people that view Sore Hands, my channel, tend to be in the older age range, which is cool. I talk about Rick Beato, I talk about Tommy Emmanuel. I also talk about younger guys too. I've something for everybody here. But a lot of the older folk are watching, and you guys were really offended when I called Tubular Bells, the piece that Ichiko was playing, the Death Note theme. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just have way more experience with Death Note than I do whatever Tubular Bells is from. And just for my own defense really quick, I'd like to play a clip of each one just so you can see how similar they are. And also, the way Ichiko was dressed, it looked like he was someone from Death Note. I mean, look at that. Here's what Tubular Bells sounds like. Just a clip, not trying to get copyrighted over here. And this is L No Theme, Death Note soundtrack. Right? Okay, so whatever. I just wanted to clear that up. If you want to unsubscribe because I was finally wrong about something, I implore you to do that. But also, I think that me being just blatantly wrong sometimes is part of the Sore Hands charm. It really exemplifies what it means to be a snob and to not listen or to think critically and to just fall back on what you know and to think that that worldview is always what's right and it can never change and it's just set in stone. That's what we're trying to promote here on Sore Hands. And speaking of that, let's actually go to our next lightning round. The Jim Berkey. Is being a music snob come naturally, or did they teach you that in conservatory? Well, I didn't go to conservatory. I went to a university. Sorry, not to get snobby on you, but there's a difference. At a conservatory, at least from my understanding, it's pretty much just focusing on the music and the craft. And when you go to a university, you're doing that too, but you're also getting a liberal arts degree, so you gotta take a bunch of other BS that you don't care about. Like Russian civilization, Latin civilization, those classes in particular, I remember, in my undergrad. And yeah, they took a lot of practice time away from me. Wasn't a fan. I'm in a master's degree right now, which is a little more on the conservatory side. Yeah, grad school is a little bit different, which, by the way, I don't know where the question is, but somebody asked, how's grad school going? It's going really well. It's a whole lot less work than undergrad. I don't know if it's supposed to be, or maybe I'm just, not doing enough, but it seems like I'm passing all my classes, so it's fine. But yeah, I'll talk more about grad school in a bit. I didn't go to a conservatory, and to answer your question, yes, all the snobbiness that you see, I very much learned from people in my life that I knew in my early 20s and maybe late teens when I was in school. And I'm not going to go anywhere near to hinting at who these people are. Not that they're famous or could do anything to me, but it's just not a good look to start calling out individual people. But I do have a lot of people that I remember from my early 20s who I was just oh my god, this is the biggest snob I've ever met in my life. I've known some real snobs for sure, and if those people for whatever reason are watching my show now and you maybe happen to pick up a little bit of yourself in what I'm saying, I probably learned it from you. Okay, here's the question. This one is from BWA_8. You said, how is grad school going? Thank you for asking. Grad school is going pretty well, I would say. I feel like being in weekly guitar lessons and also performing twice a week for the guitar studio, it has done wonders for my playing, just general confidence on the guitar. I really feel myself developing like quickly, way quicker than before I started this master's degree. I started this YouTube channel 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago actually, and especially early on it featured a lot of just watching me take on pieces that were way too hard, and like I eventually got them to some level, especially ones like the Morel Sonatina. Like I feel like I play that pretty well now, and I wouldn't be able to had I not put so much work into it before. But I can't help but think how expedited that learning process would be if I had the resources I have now. The thing that I think I really learned from this semester, just in my private lessons, is how to get the last 20% of a piece completed and performance ready. And what I mean by that, like I'm sure that you've all experienced this. You're learning a piece and getting it 80% there, that's what you're able to do. And I feel like that's what I was able to do for like years after my undergrad. I'm just finding that as this semester goes on, it's becoming like 80, 81, 82, 85, and I'm kind of more easily able to get higher than 80% on my own right now. And then I take it to my teacher, and then he helps me with the remainder. And with pieces that I've been working on for the whole semester, like the Prelude and Lobe de Trennen, I feel like I can just kind of pull those out. And it's not only 80%, but it's like 95% of it now. And I have a roadmap for how to get that last 5%. That might take longer than the semester, but I see the light for those pieces, and it's just good. Like I feel like I've never been as good at guitar as I am right now, so I'm happy about that. Money well spent, I'll say. Of course, there's more to talk about with grad school, and if you're curious, feel free to ask some specific questions and I'll answer them in the next practice log. All right, let's do one more question and then we're out of here. Okay, here we go. So this one is from Jelly J8194, friend of the channel. How's it going? Hey Cameron, thank you for addressing me by name. I really appreciate that. Not Mr. Hands. Don't call me Mr. Hands. You say you've been practicing the technique for hours. Oh, what you're referring to is Raschiatos there. I said in the last practice log that my Raschiato practice has been taking up 2 to 4 hours of my guitar practice a day, and we'll talk about that as you ask this question. You say that you've been practicing the technique for hours, but I'm wondering how you manage to balance practicing specific techniques like this with repertoire. Do you also do repertoire for hours too? How do you break up your daily practice, and what would you recommend? And then you have some more questions, but we'll get to that in a bit. So if I'm practicing a technique for hours, am I also practicing rep for hours? No. I typically won't practice more than 4 or 5 hours a day. So on those days where I practice Raschiato for 4 hours, I might not even work on rep at all. I don't know, like it's hard to sit down and practice for that long. Even when you love guitar and it's your life, still doing it for 4 hours is like kind of a lot. I don't think it's a bad thing to just go hard into certain things, especially when you feel inspired to do it. I went really hard into Raschiatos for the past couple of weeks, and I feel like my Raschiatos now versus how they were before that time are worlds different. Like I feel really comfortable doing Raschiatos now. And yeah, my repertoire suffered a good bit. I was not playing very well like 5 days ago. But since that past practice log, the one that was like, I've been working on percussive guitar techniques, it was Raschiato. Since then, I lowered my Raschiato work to 30 minutes a day. So today I practiced for 2.5 hours so far. And the first 30 minutes that was Raschiato, and I've done 2 hours of 997. So yeah, you kind of have to balance it. But there really is no substitute to working on one technique for like hours a day for weeks upon weeks. You'll get really good at that technique, and even when you stop working on it so much, you'll keep what you gained, especially if you keep working on it just a little bit after that. I'll actually go into the next part of your question. Also, any tips for electric shredding? Was it just hours with a metronome, or is there a better way about going about it in hindsight? It's the same thing. You know, like when you're playing electric guitar, there's the balance of repertoire versus technique. At least when I played electric guitar and when I was like a metal shredder, I found that learning repertoire wasn't as important to me, and I would just practice scales for hours and hours a day. So yeah, in short, it pretty much just comes down to scale practice and arpeggio practice with metronome, and I would go through the same kind of phases where maybe I spend 2 weeks only sweep picking like one minor arpeggio, and I would just get really good at it. And it sounds kind of boring when I say it out loud, like I wouldn't want to do that now, but if you feel the inspiration to do it, I would say don't fight that. And even if it is just monotonous, like just make sure you're practicing it well, slowly, making progress. Just do that until you kind of tucker yourself out, and then go back to a more sustainable routine. Now, I will say for electric shredding, you're maybe not working on repertoire so much. Like maybe you're learning some metal solo or something. But if you're not, I would definitely encourage getting into the habit of using your scales and arpeggios to create your own little mini solos or like licks and learn how to play those. So it is kind of like repertoire practice, but it's your own stuff that you're coming up with. And I say that just so you start thinking more creatively, because there's no solo that's just scale 3 octaves up, 3 octaves down, arpeggio 3 octaves up, 3 octaves down. I would take those building blocks and try to make something cool and then practice that. And that's important too, because that's going to decide what your voice is in your metal solos that you play. And there are other questions about this, like how do you practice Rasciatos? How do you practice rest strokes? It's a lot of doing that exact same stuff. I'll just think of little licks or little things that maybe I want to put in like some guitar composition that I'm thinking about, and I'll just practice them as if they're music, as if they're worth practicing for hours a day. You know what? I wasn't going to give you an example, but maybe I will right now just to do it. So I've been working on a little ditty myself that if I can play it well enough, I will record it and like release the whole recording of it on this channel. But I have this passage in it where it starts with an F major 7, and then I slide down, and then I start playing an F major 7 arpeggio. And I'm rest stroking all of that, and I'm also using legato, shifting, and then like a little chromatic scale there. And then it goes up to there for something. So all together really slow. That's what it sounds like, and I'd want to be able to play it. I'll try to play it a few times quick. Like that. The second time it goes all the way an octave lower. I need to practice that. But that's kept me pretty busy with putting all these techniques that I'm trying to master together into something that's like my own composition. That's just an example. I know that's not that helpful because I'm not telling you how to write little like example passages like that. But I would just start trying to think creatively about the techniques that you're practicing, because I find personally that I can practice a technique for a while, but I only have so much time I can really put into it until I start getting massively bored and I really don't want to do it. But when I do something like that, where I'm not just practicing rest stroke, but now I'm doing it with an arpeggio, I'm practicing shifting, and I'm practicing legato all at the same time. And then there's also the idea at the end of it where when I can play this up to speed, I'm going to have a really sick passage that I have in this little composition that I'm writing. So there's a lot of things inspiring me to practice that F major 7 arpeggio. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question a bit. I mean, like in short, writing music using the techniques that you're learning will help you and inspire you to actually practice those techniques for way longer than you would have otherwise. Because that's the point of learning any of this stuff on guitar. It is to more accurately and in cooler ways express yourself. And it's also to make people think that you're cool. That's a side part of it, but you know, most importantly, you want to feel cool about yourself. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna play using the sheet music. I know, I'm a freaking baby, but I don't have this nearly memorized. I'm gonna play as far as I can of the fugue of BWV 997, and then we're all gonna go home. gonna end it there for now. I can play a couple lines beyond that, but it'll go downhill really fast, and I'm not gonna make you endure that. So that's where the fugue is. Working hard on new rep. Feels good. Alright, I think we can go ahead and wrap this one up here. Of course, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Thanks for clicking on our practice log, by the way. I really know who the real viewers are, so I appreciate that. And hopefully this gives you a little something to chew on with your practice, maybe. Or not. Maybe this is just some noise for the background of your practice, which is cool too. But just know that someone out here is practicing, so, you know, it's not weird. You're not weird for doing that. Of course, online classical guitar lessons, if you're interested in that. I know lots of grad students who are taking students. Of course, Ruten's Delight, you can't buy this from Ruten's Delight, but you can get it from Goodwill. But you can get that shirt right there. That's only one example of something you can get. You can also get these stickers. Awesome, if you want to put that on your guitar case and show everybody what's up. Yeah, I don't know, anything else? I mean, check out some more videos, maybe see what's up with Ichikanito. Oh, if you can, maybe go check out this video right here, inside the factory that manufactures your trash guitars. It's underperforming compared to everything else, but I've gotten a couple comments that say that's my best video ever. Pretty good one, maybe go watch that one next. Alright, I think this is about it. So, I'll see you in the next one.